What is up, everyone? We have Leonardo Rueda here. We're going to do a little bit of chatting on the EPL, Premier League starting up. Going to go over the first 10 teams alphabetically, of course, starting with Arsenal. So we're going to go over what to watch, best case for each team, worst case for each team, and a little cumulative finish for each team. So Leah, we'll start with you. What is there to watch on Arsenal?
Arsenal has a young guy by the name of Saka
Bukayo Saka, yes.
that I think has been showing out lately, and he's maturing into this role that I don't know. He's going to do big things pretty soon. Either he's going to do big things, or we're going to see the end of his career and start slowly going down, like a lot of people also do. So it's going to be a very definitive for him, I think.
Bro,
I'll be watching him closely.
He is 19 years old. I don't see the end of his career coming anytime soon. What's interesting for him, though, is they have him listed as a left midfielder per our friends here at Transfermarkt. I mean, he's been playing a little higher up, more of a winger. He can also play fullback, but he ain't going to be a fullback anytime soon. He's really attacking. Of course, he was with the English team at Euros. Super impressive. But for me, the what to watch for is really with Aubameyang. They gave him the bag. They gave him money last year. They stopped him from going to Barcelona. I think he's on like £275,000 a week. And he just didn't show up last year. He just didn't show up. Lacazette wasn't terrible. They really need a lot from Eddie Nketiah. They need goals. They just need something. Xhaka, as you move into the midfield, he had a good Euros. So they're going to keep him around. I know he was rumored, I think it was Roma. He was rumored to go to. And then, I mean, center backs. I mean, the big story, of course, is that they got Ben White from Brighton. But, I mean, they're just a bang average team. And, I mean, the best case for them, I got top 6, maybe. Worst case, I mean, at one point last year, they were flirting with relegation. I know it was kind of a joke that they were flirting with relegation, but they were when they were really playing like shit. I don't think that that's realistic, but I could see him mid-table. I could see him 10th or 11th. I mean, I think that's where I think that's where they were at or around last year. I don't think they're going to be as bad as last year. They're going to be better, but I still don't think that they're a big 6 team anymore. Leo, what are your thoughts? Best case, worst case?
Yeah, around 6 or 7. They're definitely not the worst team in the league anymore. There's definitely a lot of really, really bad teams. We'll get into those in a little bit here. With all the B's, that's where all the B's really start off with in the alphabet. So, yeah, 5th or 6th place is right in line with what I was thinking.
So B for bad is going to come here very, very soon. But before that, we do have one more A team to look at, and they are very, very much so in the news today. And I don't want to be presumptuous here, but I'm assuming that both of our what to watch fors on them are going to regard the big news of the day. The what to watch for the next team, which is Aston Villa, is, at least in my purview, and I'm assuming for you, is what do they do now that they don't have Jack Grealish? I mean, Grealish out, £100 million man going to City. I mean, they got Buendia in. He's impressive. They got Leon Bailey. They got Danny Ings. They got all these guys coming in. But Grealish is a captain, and he's gone now. So
that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt them. It's gonna cause something good, hopefully, that happens in Man City because they need something.
we'll get over to Man City. We're talking SMV. We'll get on to Man City later. Come on.
And it's definitely gonna hurt.
Baby. I
Who's gonna do something up top anymore? Who do they have?
Well, Buendia coming in from Norwich, he's super impressive. He tore up the championship the last 2 times he's down there. He was pretty good in the EPL when he came up, but I mean, Norwich. So he's going to have to do it. I mean, of course, John McGinn in the midfield, he's impressive. I mean, getting Danny Ings is a big deal. I mean, this is a guy with a goal scoring pedigree. He can do the deal. He can get it done. So yeah, it's going to be a different type of play from Villa, but I actually think they may end up better without Grealish. Maybe not better as a team. They might not look as pretty. They may not do as nice of things, but I mean, let's get right to the point. Man in net, Emiliano Martinez, he's coming off of a Copa America win with Argentina. You got Mings and Consa. They did so well. Matty Target's good. Matty Cash is good. Ashley Young coming back, gives them that veteran leadership. They're going to be really strong at the back. Really strong at the back. And you got a guy like Danny Ings who's going to get in the goals no matter what. And the midfield, again, maybe instead of Grealish making shit happen, you're going to be more compact. And then you got Leon Bailey that they got from Leverkusen. You got him out on the wing. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay.
I don't know. You know how I feel about good midfielder players leaving a team and leaving a big space in the middle. This doesn't work, unless you do wing play and you have phenomenal wing players. It really doesn't work. You got to have somebody in the middle that can make shit happen and distribute the balls and make the plays. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know how much you know about this guy, Bailey. I know you're not really a Bundesliga guy.
I can't study, look for jobs.
He took a step back last year, but he's been around. I mean, he's still a younger guy. I mean, of course, Europa League, so he's got some experience. I mean, he had 49 goal involvements in 119 games at Leverkusen. So he's not prolific, but he's done stuff. So he's not amazing, but he's done stuff. I had Villa middle table. I mean, we kind of grouped it together, 10th, middle of the table. And I think that's probably fair. I mean, I could see that maybe they make a run at the Europa League spots, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough beyond that. The next team to look at is one of the new boys, Brentford. I believe this is their first time. I'm fairly confident it's their first time in the Premier League. It might be their first time in the top league for a while. And I mean, I don't know if you know very much, if anything, about Brentford. They haven't been around a while.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Which might actually say a lot. And that actually might be a big reason of why they may do well.
I mean, Leicester did it that once upon a time.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. I think their biggest thing is going to be the element of surprise. Everybody's going to say they're Brentford. They haven't been here. They're not ready to do it. And maybe heads will drop. Brentford wants it. Brentford's got guys. I mean, it all starts with Ivan Toney. I mean, he's failed here. He went to Newcastle. He sucked, quite frankly. Sorry, Ivan Toney, if you see this anywhere, you sucked at Newcastle. But then he went to Brentford and he looks great. He was the best player in the championship last year. And he's going to try to bang the goals for Brentford. So
Excellent.
You got him. You got Sergi Canos, who came up. He might have gotten some EPL experience with Liverpool, but he's kind of bounced around a little bit. They have guys that'll do stuff. Brian Mbeumo is very impressive. So they're going to try to do stuff offensively. Not really a lot in the midfield positions. Defense is kind of meh too. I mean, Christopher Ayer, getting him is nice from Celtic. He's got experience. He's been around the block, but they're going to allow goals. They're going to allow goals.
Where do you see them ending up on the table?
It's going to be a relegation fight.
Ooh.
I see him in the 16, 17. I don't see them all the way at the bottom. I don't, but 16, 17-ish.
Did we talk about this guy that they just signed? Nigerian midfielder Frank Onyeka?
No, we haven't yet. And I believe he came from FC Midtjylland. So Midtjylland is another team who it's a baseball principle called Moneyball. They believe in we're not able to get like the top players. So instead of saying we need, for example, we need Lionel Messi to score 50 goals for us.
Mm-hmm.
They say, okay, we're not going to get Lionel Messi, but we need 50 goals from our striker. So let's find a way to get 50 goals. So we don't have Lionel Messi, but we know our striker needs 50 goals. So instead of getting one Lionel Messi, they get 4 guys who can each score 12 goals. So it's not Messi, but it's replacing Messi's value. So that's kind of the way Brentford think. They come at it and they say, you know what? We aren't going to be Man City. We aren't going to be Liverpool. We aren't going to be Man U. We aren't going to be Chelsea, but we can replicate them. We can do the things that they do. So Onyeka is another guy who comes from that same philosophy. They have it in Midtjylland. Midtjylland made the Champions League last year. They actually looked very good in the Champions League. Even though they lost in the Champions League, they looked good. And Onyeka was a big part of that. So he's another guy. Join him in, young, as I'm looking here, he's 23, young, impressive. They have guys here. That's why I don't think they're going to come up and go right back down. I don't see the talent there to really push on. Like they're not, in my opinion, they're not going to be a Leeds or a Wolves who are going to come up and suddenly mid-table, possibly pushing for top half of the table. They're going to be I see them as a more competitive Norwich, like Norwich from a couple years ago. I know they ended up going down again, and they were actually at the very bottom of the table, I believe. But Norwich from a couple years ago beat Man City. I see them as a better version of that. So they got guys. So I believe next, if I look at my little sheet over here, would be Brighton. It's funny. I was talking with you pre-show, and one of the things that I said was, I'd make sure, and I hate to do this to them, I'd make sure you knew you had prepared for this, for being able to name 4 players on Brighton. Because I just think that they're the most nondescript team in the league. I mean, I know you had said in the past that you were really impressed by Lamptey. And of course, he's still around. Lewis,
But he didn't
yes,
follow through with his season. You know, he started off hot, and I kept on watching him, and they started playing him less. I don't know if he fucked up and got injured, but they just never played him again.
no, he just didn't. You said it best. He just never kept going, which is kind of the story of Brighton. They famously are the hipsters team, because when you look at their advanced stats, you're like, oh, Brighton, they should be good. And they just aren't.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant with Zaka earlier, because either these players follow through and they're consistent, or they just end up flopping. They're a big disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you look at the team, I mean, of course, at like more pay, people talk about Trossard, people talk about Basuma's been linked with Arsenal, Liverpool. So there's guys, but I just don't like the compilation. Like, they don't win games. They don't win games. They don't do enough to get wins. I mean, Robert Sanchez was solid last year. Like I said, they have a solid defense, but they're a bottom of the table team. That's what they are. And I mean, it's actually funny, because we'll move on to the next team. The team they opened the season with, a lot of the same, Burnley. I mean, okay, they're going to be Burnley. Burnley's going to be Burnley. I mean,
that's another team that not a lot of people have faith in. They lost a lot of my faith as well. I don't know. You just don't like watching that team. You know, they never win. They never do anything. They just lose. They just take a beating from the whole league.
And when they win, it's not attractive. I mean, you got a guy like Dwight McNeil, 21. He's got pace. He's got a little bit of end product. He can work on his end product, but they're quite frankly, they're knuckle draggers. I mean, they're cavemen. They just want to play a back line tight in front of the goalie, and they got a good goalie. Nick Pope is a very good goalie, but it's just not fun to watch.
Right.
And particularly if they get a lead, they get a 1-0 lead on you, they're just going to bolt the door. You're going to fall asleep trying to pass the ball against a brick wall. And that's how they get points. That's how they've stayed in the league. They take a lead, they close down the doors, and here we go. So, I mean, They'll probably finish mid-table. They'll probably take points off of somebody attractive, or probably not a win, but a draw. They'll win enough of games in games that matter for them, and they'll move on with life, and they'll stay up.
Or they'll get relegated, and we'll get another team that we can watch.
So here is one. Oh, so you think they're going to get relegated?
I think they're bad enough to get that bad quickly by the end of the season, for sure.
You think they'll get relegated? I don't think they're going to get relegated. That's a good shout from you early. I think that Burnley will do enough to stay in and about mid-table, probably end up 13 or 14, but you're saying that they might get near relegation. I mean, they'll kind of fight with it, but okay. Now I think we're going to talk about a team that's going to be distinctly near the other side of the table. the champions of Europe, Chelsea FC. Now we get to the Now we get to some juice finally, because unlucky for this podcast, it's going alphabetically, and alphabetically, a lot of the sexier teams are on the other part of the alphabet. But talking about Chelsea, of course, reigning champions of Europe, finished fourth last year. Talent everywhere.
Are they getting Lukaku?
Are they getting Lukaku? Are they? I mean, that's the $1 billion question. I mean, if you look on Transfer Mark, latest rumor, Romelu Lukaku, 62% of people think they will get him.
That's an interesting transfer right there. I'd love to see Lukaku back in the Premier League. I've seen him. When's the last tournament that we saw him? Zolli.
Europa. Euros. He was in Euros for Belgium.
I liked how he played in that tournament.
Yeah.
Monster.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of course he is. And that actually might be a big problem for Chelsea, is that they already have so much talent. So adding Lukaku in, you add him to a front line that's already bloated. You got Tammy Abraham, who they don't love, but he's still there. He can still score.
You don't have somebody that's really concrete at being a forward. I mean, they have Christian Pulisic, who I wish they would play more, but they never do. And that Abraham's another good one, but they never play him as much. And he's kind of, I don't know, I guess immature in his play at times. Mm-hmm. But if they had a star like Lukaku, man, they'd be back on top as far as I'd throw him back. I'd throw Chelsea back on top as far top 3 in the league, finishing out.
I think they're third right now. We'll get to that when we talk about of course, the back end, because the presumed top 3 are all in the back end. I think Chelsea's third right now. I think they're third and they're pushing. I think they're third and pushing the top 2 more than I think the team in fourth is pushing them. I think Tuchel came in. He got them defensively solid. Of course, it helped them in the Champions League to win, but I think that defensive solidity is going to play forward. Werner is not going to be as bad as he was. Havertz is not, Havertz is not going to be as bad as he was. I mean, Havertz scored the game-winning goal in the Champions League final. You can say whatever you want to say about him. He will always be able to say, I scored the game-winning goal in the Champions League final. You can't take that away from him. Pasilic, they'll use him how they can. Hudson-Odoi. Their midfield is solid. Their defense, little aging, but solid. Getting Mendy at goalie, huge move, because Kepa wasn't the answer. So they're just solid everywhere. The only reason I have them third is because the 2 teams ahead of them aren't solid everywhere. They're outstanding everywhere. They don't have flaws. So that's my opinion.
Solid.
So moving next, we go to Crystal Palace. They're in a weird place because all of their stability is gone. Their stability of Roy Hodgson, and we're going to play a certain way, a little bit of an older squad. Let's see what we could do, has now changed to, we have Patrick Vieira. We don't know how that's going to go. And Patrick Vieira has failed, quite frankly, as a coach before, but we're going to play it looks like a younger, more high tempo play. And that is shown in the transfers they've made. Joachim Anderson, huge signing. He played so well with Fulham. Marguerite, huge signing. So they have two young center backs that are going to get things done. They got Conor Gallagher, who was great for West Brom last year. And then, of course, as you look forward, Wilfred Zaha and Michael Olise in more attacking positions. My thing with them is Eberichieze is hurt. When does he come back? And then at center forward, where are they going to get goals? Mateta or Mateta, he's solid but not phenomenal. And then, of course, Benteke and Ayew, who, I mean, you kind of know what you get with those two guys. I mean, it's Benteke and Ayew. They've been around forever.
Yeah, this is one of the teams back when I had a fandom with Queen's Park Rangers. It's a big underdog team that you like watching them struggle, and sometimes they'll get a good win, and sometimes they'll get a couple of good plays. I like watching Crystal Palace play. I like watching their offensive. You said Benteke or Zaha, those two players. A lot of their forwards and midfielders are really fun to watch. But I think is another team that is probably going to struggle, and it might be one of those relegation teams. In the last three, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up back there again. Either.
I think that they might be a little bit of a surprise package. I could see them again pushing. They'll probably be a team that finishes in like the 12th to 15th range, but they're going to be a team that you watch and you think, oh yeah, they've been in the top half, but really they're like in 13th or 14th. Like you look at them and you're like, oh yeah, Crystal Palace, they're a top half team, but they just aren't. So maybe a little bit like Brighton last year. Like people who watch Brighton, they're like, oh yeah, they're a top half team. Well, they were fighting for relegation. Moving on to the little brothers, Everton. Of course, were they a disappointment last year? I don't think so, but also they kind of were. I mean, they succeeded according to what people thought at the beginning of the season, but when the season actually was going on, this is a team that was in the top four. This was a team who, and maybe it was a little bit of a joke, this was a team who was going to make a run to win the league. And then they just fell apart. So I don't know if we're looking at this and we're saying they were disappointing last year, they were successful last year, because when push comes down to shove, they were actually pretty impressive last year. And when you look at the moves that they've actually made some progressive moves. They got Damari Gray, who, I mean, he didn't do great at Leverkusen, but he's been in the league. I mean, of course, they made a lot of huge moves last year. Alon, they got Decore. They still have James around, so they have guys. But I mean,
Is Thomas still around? I thought he was leaving. I thought he was going to somewhere.
He's still James Rodriguez, number 19.
I'm gonna say disappointment because I expected the best things out of them with James going in. They were fourth, they were playing with third, and then like you said, everything just kind of went to shit after halfway through the season. And that was a disappointment. If they would have been a good team would finish out in that fourth, fifth. They wouldn't drop all the way to what they end up in 10th or something. That's just not good team material. That's where they always end up, right?
Right.
They're always around that, so is it disappointment? Yeah, is it disappointment because they're always been a disappointing team, right?
They are what we thought they were. And
Yeah,
now,
nothing changed.
the big thing is Rafa Benitez in the
Hmm.
dugout. So we'll see how that plays out.
We will see.
So we go to Leeds. We got two more left. We go to Leeds. Impressive team last year. They are in the they were one of those weird teams of, oh yeah, Leeds is impressive. They just kind of were. They just kind of were there. Like they were kind of impressive, but they didn't really make a run. Like people make the lazy comparison of like Leeds and what Wolves did. Wolves made a run. Wolves got to the Europa League. Leeds didn't
Agreed.
really Leeds didn't really get there. But that being said, I do like a lot of the things that Leeds have. I like Rafinha. I like I mean, I can't say I like Patrick Bamford, but he put up numbers. I like Jack Harrison, and they got him on a permanent from Man City. I like that they signed Junior Firpo. I like a lot of the guts of Leeds. I just don't know if they're going to make the next step.
I like Leeds just like I like Everton. You know, they don't do much, but I like what they do. I like watching them play. I like watching them struggle and make a couple plays and score a goal. And, they can make some tight games with some good teams sometimes.
Mhm.
That's probably what's fun about them is because they're surprisingly good at, being competitive with some of these teams sometimes.
Right. Right. And this is what you need to realize. And I think that this is kind of what you're getting at is teams in this kind of tier of talent. Leeds took points off of Man City and Liverpool last year, but then also lost 6-2 to Man U. So you could get one team, you could get one Leeds, but then you could also get another Leeds. You could get the Leeds that can be compact and can give Liverpool and City tough games, and then the same team that suddenly just doesn't look like they know what they're doing and get destroyed by United. So
weirdly, that's the case for a lot of these teams that we're going to talk about today in this podcast. Not like the second part of this podcast. We're going to talk about the heavy hitters,
right?
But that's weird that alphabetically, the teams that don't really seem to do much, but they disrupt the big teams sometimes, are located in the first part of the alphabet order thing.
Right. So we're going to wrap up today with Leicester City. And I don't know if you know this, but it's actually funny that over the last 2 seasons, nobody other than, I believe, nobody other than Liverpool and Man City have spent more time in the top 4 than Leicester City. Leicester City have not gone to the Champions League in either of those 2 seasons. So Leicester City have lived in the top 4 the last 2 seasons. Never finished it. Never finished it.
Amazing. Never cease to amaze you. That team is, I don't know, it's a lot of people that I guess I don't want to consider them as nobodies because they're somebodies now, but a couple of years ago, you didn't know who half of these players were, and they're going to happen in a big way. They're I guess this IT terms disruptive is the word I want to say because they fuck up a lot of these teams.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They're a team of nobodies. That's really the best way to describe them. They take guys and they make them superstars. I mean, of course, the famous name at the bottom is Jamie Vardy. I don't even know if Vardy's going to be that big of a part of this team. I mean, Iheanacho was on fire at the end of the season. You got Potts and Daka, who took over for Holland in Austria and was huge for Red Bull Salzburg. I mean, you got Harvey Barnes, who could do damage as a midfielder winger. I mean, Tielemans, Prayat, Mendy, Bubakai Samari coming in. You got Ndidi. Ndidi is a beast. Ndidi, he should basically call N'Golo Kante little or big brother because they're the same guy. They're the same fucking guy. Him and Kante, and that is a big piece of credit on him. The back line is so strong too, of course, led by Schmeichel. But, and this is something that we're going to talk about on our next pod about the next team alphabetically. Their problem in the back is with injuries. So James Justin is still hurt now. And I don't want to get taken down for copyright, but after this, look up the injury that Wesley Fofana got yesterday. Rough one and a friendly. We're talking high cleat. I think it was his ankle or his leg. So he's going to be out for a minute. I mean, they still have Shionku. They still have Johnny Evans. Those will probably be the guys that'll start. I mean, of course, Ricardo Pereira's coming back. They got guys that can fill a gap, but they got hurt a lot too last year. And you can't use that as an excuse, but they try to. They don't go there, but they were actually the team that lost the most games to injury last year. Not a more famous former English Premier League champion from 2 years ago that are going for their throne, which we will discuss tomorrow. But they had the most injuries. They had the most injuries. So, final thoughts on Leicester?
I lost you there. Final what?
What are your final thoughts on Leicester?
Top 5.
Fair.
Fifth, fourth.
I have them 5th, maybe 6th. So, final thoughts on the teams we went over today before we wrap this up.
I think obviously Chelsea, Leicester are going to be the ones that are going to provide the most content here, but there's going to be a few surprises, I think, with I don't know, some of these lower teams that you say may end up 16, 17. I see them really at bottom of relegation. Burnley, Brighton, we'll see.
I just don't like the way Burnley plays. I mean, they're going to stay around, but I just want them to go down because I hate watching the Sean Dyche worm-eating, just knuckle-dragging teams. I'm excited to see what Crystal Palace does. I mean, Vieira failed so bad as a coach before. It could all go tits up, but it'll be fun to watch at least. So tomorrow, we're going to have the fun ones. Nothing against Chelsea and Leicester and Arsenal, but tomorrow is the big content. Tomorrow is when we talk about the teams you really want to watch. The reasons that the Premier League is the best. So, Leo, thank you for your time, and we're going to get off.
Thank you very much.
Later.